the Trump Center. I want to ask him about that. Brad Young, our chief legal analyst. We heard some victim statements today in Idaho ahead of the sentencing of Bryan Kohberger. And we also want to talk to him about this Planned Parenthood suit. He accuses the organization of downplaying their abortion drug risks. We have Rob Schneider, famous comedian, actor, joining us on the show too. I cannot wait to talk to him. There's just so much to get to. So thank you for joining us here today. If you want to reach me at Ryan Recker Radio. I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's a couple of different places where we could start. I think one of the places where would be a nice start, and we will play some of the testimony that happened in the courtroom today for Bryan Kohberger, who, by the way, the judge sentenced him to 4 consecutive life sentences for the 2022 fatal stabbings of 4 University of Idaho students. And that was one of those stories that, boy, it's just grabbed a nation. I think a lot of people paid close attention to it. We'll play some moments from the courtroom today. I think another thing that kind of surprised people, and this really surprised me because of previous conversations we've had about the about this with Brad Young, is that Tulsi Gabbard goes to the podium today in a surprise appearance at the White House press briefing to outline reports detail key findings from a House Intelligence Committee published in 2020, and said she's referred these documents to the Justice Department, suggesting it could implicate former President Barack Obama. This goes back to the whole Russiagate and what they knew, what they decided to hide. But one of the things that you find in these documents is that not it implicates Donald Trump with Russia, it implicates Hillary Clinton with it. So the fact that you decided to not disclose that, and in fact use it as a tool to go against your party's opponents, knowing that it was false, says something, that there's something there. So that's what they're going to look into. And let's play some Tulsi Gabbard clips if we could. This is really fascinating to me. Let's start with clip number 28 if we can.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
It wasn't. And I think a lot of people understood that at the time. It was something that was parroted by a lot of the different news networks. And what you find is that when the narrative fits, the truth doesn't matter, because they can forward the narrative of what the officials are telling them, in this case, Barack Obama and his administration, and they can lay it on him to say, this is what they're saying, and we're going to parrot this, but we're not going to actually look into it ourselves. And I think that's a big difference between the journalism you may have grew up with, watching certain stories unfold in front of you. There was a bit of skepticism, and there was a bit of understanding that the government's not going to tell you the full story. So there is a journalistic integrity. There's an ability for them to find out and get to the bottom of this themselves. But what you find is that in government, in politics in particular, what you do is you just talk to the people you want to talk to. You get the side you want to get to, and then you report that as the truth. And in some cases, you may be hearing from one side behind the scenes. You use them as your source and your only source, and you run with that, and you don't even have to disclose where you got it from, or you don't even have to disclose the fact that it's biased. That should have been your duty as a journalist, to look into it. That really didn't happen. Those checks and balances weren't there. That healthy skepticism of what the government is telling you could very well be a lie in order to further their own narrative is something that was lost over the years. I don't know what it is. Is it laziness? Is it something else? Is it just pure hatred when the person that is running for office is someone you dislike? Could there be a little bit of both, perhaps? So Tulsi Gabbard was asked about this during the press conference, if she believes Barack Obama could be looked at for criminal charges. This is clip 29.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former
The
President
evidence,
Obama?
correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Okay, so basically saying it's not off the table. It doesn't mean that we're willing to tell you that we have something, the smoking gun, but it means that there's enough here that would warrant other people to look into it further. It could implement or implicate him rather, and that could be a pretty big deal. Now you're talking about a former president of the United States. During the time, there's other things that were going on besides Russia at that same time too. You remember how Donald Trump had said that they were wiretapping him? Isn't that funny? Because at the time, they denied it. They said there's no way that we are wiretapping your private conversations as the leading candidate, the Republican candidate in the 2016 election. And then later they'd come out and admit, well, actually, we were only listening to the other side of the conversation. Well, that's fascinating. So you're saying that you completely ignored anything that Donald Trump was talking about? And then after the fact, you find that they were using this Russian information that Barack Obama knew was false, but continued to perpetrate as being true. At least the people around him, as we'll find, maybe has the strongest evidence. The people around him knew this as they continue to further it. But they used it as a way to justify violating the rights of Donald Trump. So that is a pretty big deal. This is huge. It's not something I think you can sweep under the rug. And I know that Brad Young the other day told me there's nothing that's going to happen to Barack Obama. Maybe I'll ask him about this again today. The fact that they are furthering it down the road, the fact that this has taken an escalation, it's going to get a referral. Does that change any of his opinions on this? Maybe I'll ask them later this hour on it too. All right, one more from Tulsi Gabbard. This is clip number 30. I think it's 30.
Do you believe
right? Yeah.
President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I'm not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
Oh boy. Okay, this is huge. Again, big words. This is big implications. This is also big allegations. So it's all about the intent. What was the intent? Was it to punish a political opponent? Was it for the safety of the nation? Was it used to create the grounds to have a perpetual prosecution against someone you don't like? Was it a way to violate their constitutional rights? Was it a way to protect the country in your own twisted, warped, ends justify the means kind of way because you disagree with him politically? Is that what it's all about? All wrapped into one, perhaps? Thought somehow it's his duty, Captain America, that he has to go in there and stop Donald Trump, even if it meant doing it this way through a huge lie that you knew was a lie and continue to push a lie. What maybe one of the aspects I find interesting about this is if you knew it was a lie and they were going through impeachments and going through other legal means in the courts. Think of all the different lawsuits that came up against Donald Trump where this Russian stuff came up. If you were allowing the court's resources to be used that way and you knew the information to be false, do you have any duty to report that at that point, knowing that someone could be falsely prosecuted based on something that you furthered? That's an interesting thing. Maybe I'll talk to Brad Young about that too. Going back to Idaho, because this is the other major top story that's going on. Bryan Kohberger sentenced to life without parole, killing 4 innocent University of Idaho students back in 2022. There was a moment where a lot of the people that were impacted by this, the statements from the ones who had their loved ones taken away, their friends and family, their lives changed for the negative because of the actions directly of Bryan Kohberger. And this is quite amazing. Can we play clip number 31? I think it's 31.
Xana didn't get the future reserved. Oh. She won't be the maid of honor at my wedding. the cool aunt to my future children.
I joined Maddie's life when she was 2.5 years old. Experience transformed me into a life of joy, love, and family. Maddie was bright, beautiful, kind, empathic.
I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here.
If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your
Police officers tell us within minutes, they had your DNA, like a calling card. You were that careless, that foolish, that stupid. Master degree, you're a joke.
Okay. And they all have the right to be even angrier than that. He's 30 years old. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Hopefully it's a long, miserable one. I think that's what most people are rooting for. And we'll talk more about some of the legal consequences, mostly because that Kohberger put a plea deal in. What does that mean if he faces trial for something else? Extra charges? Is he allowed to do different things in court because of that, or is it just going to be treated like everyone else? So there's just so much to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Missouri's 3rd District Congressman Bob Onder. He introduced a bill to rename the Kennedy Center, and I think you may like to hear what his recommendation is. Coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, if you are just headed out, we do have some volume out there. And if you are westbound on 70, watch for it approaching 370. Also some volume on southbound 270. Looks like it's mainly from Olive, and it stretches down through 44. 55, that's a slow go, mainly in the construction zone as you head for Bates. Now, northbound 170, there's been some road work as you approach 70, and there's a backup through there right now. But if you are headed into Illinois, things look fine on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're thinking about a big home restoration project, a lot of people are. They're going to stay in their homes. One of the biggest choices and one of the biggest decisions you have is who do you trust with your most valuable asset? And that's your home. Well, here in St. Louis, few companies, if any, have been able to match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Mother Nature constantly assaults the exterior of your home, especially here in St. Louis. Banner dedicated to pairing high-end products with high-end craftsmanship, and then you're going to be completely satisfied. So they're an elite preferred James Hardy contractor. They're a certified Pella window specialist. They're going to sit down with you. It's a free in-home design consultation. You have questions, they'll get creative. You can see some of the creativity on their website with homes. If you press on the showcase option, which is right on the top of the page, you'll see homes that will blow you away here in St. Louis with the Hardy products. There's a lot of colors. There's a lot of styles. They will use unique architectural accents to make your home the best looking home in the neighborhood. Visit the website, bannerconstruction.com, or call 314-569-1050. And again, it's a free in-home design consultation, and have a banner day, Banner Construction.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you are still healthy and can qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive. Call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
From politics to pop culture, Reardon breaks it all down. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Joining us now is Missouri's 3rd District Congressman, Bob Onder. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Ryan, great to be back.
Well, you introduced a bill to rename the Kennedy Center. This is an interesting change. The Kennedy Center, I think people know it. It's universally branded in a way that if you mention what it is, people know exactly what it is. What is your proposal?
Yes, today I filed the Make Entertainment Great Again, or MEGA bill, which would rename the Kennedy Center the Donald J. Trump Performing Arts Center. You know, for over 40 years, Donald Trump has been a patron of the arts. He has been an iconic American cultural figure. But most of all, he has shown an interest in turning around the Kennedy Center after years and years of financial mismanagement and the accumulation of tens of millions of dollars of debt. We need a businessman like Donald Trump to turn around that center. Many years of deferred maintenance, a number of serious structural and cosmetic issues at the center. But more than that, the center has over the years adopted a politicized and woke agenda. You know, look, we need to turn the center into an institution that reflects American values. We need, more Les Mis and Sound of Music and less DEI and drag queen story hour, which have indeed been at the Kennedy Center, and no wonder, no one really wants to see that kind of garbage. No wonder they're having financial problems. Donald J. Trump is going to be the one to turn it around. In fact, he's even accepted a position as chairman of the board. He will turn it around and he will make entertainment great again at the Center for Performing Arts.
Okay, I didn't realize there were drag shows and things going on at the Kennedy Center. That is weird.
Oh yeah. In fact, they have a whole department. I forget the exact, but basically a whole DI department to come up with politicized performances and so on. Yeah. It's it's really being turned around. And John F. Kennedy himself once said, "A torch is being passed to a new generation." We are passing the torch from those who, really have an anti-American and woke view of culture to those who love America, love traditional values, and want to make the performances that are at the Kennedy Center family-friendly and consistent with the values of the American people.
All right. So what happens when you don't want to politicize, but Donald Trump's one of the most polarizing people? How do you reconcile that?
Well, President Trump is restoring faith and confidence of the American people in their country. Unfortunately, too many of his political opponents, quite literally hate the country. Remember, Barack Obama wanted to fundamentally transform our country. You don't want to fundamentally transform that which you love. So really polarizing, yeah, but only because the other party has turned so far away from our traditional values and our love of country.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And it's very unappealing, some of the different turns that we are seeing. For the sake of time, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of other things that are going on. And just hours ago, Tulsi Gabbard came out and said she's recommending some of their different findings regarding this Russiagate to the Department of Justice. This is a pretty big turn here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've known for a long time that there's no way that the FBI and the Department of Justice and the intelligence agencies all got together to investigate candidate Donald Trump and then President-elect Donald Trump and then President Trump without Barack Obama knowing about it. So Tulsi Gabbard over the weekend revealed that it was in September of 2016 that the Obama administration officials got together, gave Obama a report that basically said, no, the Russians do not have either the wherewithal nor are they significantly influencing the election. Fast forward to December, Obama convened his intelligence officials and basically told them to go after Donald Trump and investigate. And the ensuing report, included things like the very discredited, obviously fake Steele dossier, and launched just really 4 years of disruption of Trump's first administration by these incessant investigations. Really, people have to be held accountable for this. This needs to be investigated, and really chips need to fall where they will.
Yeah, and what you found is they use this in some ways as justification for impeachments. There was other legal actions and lawsuits that were taken against him, and all this came up knowing all of it was false, but still it was used as a way to weaponize the court, which we don't want to weaponize the court, but definitely it was used that way against Donald Trump. So what do you think happens next with the Department of Justice? Do you think they'll take this, investigate it further, or do you think there might be enough evidence now that they could even offer some grand jury look at this?
I mean, I really think from Tulsi Gabbard's press releases, and we know she has access to the intelligence. It looks like there might be enough to convene a grand jury right now. But this is really banana republic kind of stuff, where you use the power of government to attack and to destroy your political opponents. And of course, it continued even after Trump was out of office. The degree of weaponization, the degree of abuse of power, it just cannot be tolerated in a constitutional republic. And I really do believe there need to be investigations and prosecutions, and even and if the facts are what they look to be, people need to suffer the consequences up to and including prison time.
All things considered, it's kind of amazing that some of this information still exists, knowing how much was deleted, shredded, bleach bit, or whatever Hillary Clinton used. So there's so much of this information I thought was gone forever, but it sounds like enough was left behind to, well, I'm sure they have some forensic people that can look into the electronic side of it and recover a lot. I mean, we got some pretty top-notch types of people working for that sort of thing. One other thing, Bob Onder joining us, Missouri's 3rd District Congressman. This whole Epstein thing, Congress convening early, it's a big thing right now. And now we find that there's even an understanding that they may talk to Maxwell, get to learn a little bit more about it. It doesn't sound like the Epstein thing is totally gone, but it's in the back burner. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't think the Epstein file controversy goes away until the American people have seen all of the evidence. And look, if things need to be redacted to protect intelligence sources or to protect victims, that's one thing. But eventually we need to get all this information out there. I think the Trump administration, which has in other ways been the most transparent administration in many, many years, is slowly but surely giving us the information we need to get to the bottom of this. But no, the Epstein scandal goes to really the fundamental question of our country, which is, is anyone above the law? If you're rich enough and powerful enough, are you immune to the law? And I think the answer to that is most definitely no. And I think the truth will get out. But yeah, I think we all heard Pam Bondi say, "The file's on my desk. I'll reveal it shortly," and that's not happened yet, and that is disappointing.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of people that, of course, want to find out who acted inappropriately, and we're talking about some pretty heinous things that were described by witnesses. So it's important, particularly when you talk about minors. And, it doesn't even stretch to United States citizens. We're talking about people in other countries, too, some high ranking.
Yes. I think that's right. I will tell you though, my Democrat colleagues are being hypocritical here. For 4 years, they said nothing. A number of folks have gone back and investigated the social media posts, the tweets of Democrats for the 4 years of the Biden administration, are not finding a single mention of the Epstein files. But just because the Democrats were not transparent doesn't mean that we Republicans shouldn't be. And I think we'll get to the bottom of it sooner or later. I think not quite as quickly as I'd like, or as many people would like, but we will get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, and you look at some of the biggest Democratic surrogates when it's election time. Bill and Hillary Clinton, then Barack Obama, and now, like Michael Avenatti, if you want to go and look at. But if you look at some of the ones that were like the biggest stars in the party, all of which have been disgraced, now we're starting to see what's going on with Barack Obama. That could be another major star loss from the Democratic Party, and not looking good when your major star lost $1 billion in this last election, Kamala Harris. So Bob Onder, Missouri 3rd District Congressman, thank you so much for joining us here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great week.
And joining us after the break, our chief legal analyst, Brad Young, partner at Harris Dowell Fisher & Young. I want to talk about some of the victim statements and the sentencing of Brian Kohberger coming up, along with a lot of other legal issues that are pressing at the moment. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, there is an accident on northbound 170, and it's just there at Natural Bridge. Watch for that in the left lane. And of course, there is some volume behind it. Now, westbound 6440, that's the usual volume. So it's just past Kings Highway in pockets out through McCausland. We did have an accident reported eastbound 64 right around Big Bend, and southbound 170 slow headed for 40. Southbound 270, already some volume south of Page down through Doherty Ferry. And southbound 141 is already jammed, headed down toward 6440 and toward 44. And out west, we look pretty good on 70 westbound, a little slow at Wentzville. 64 has some moderate volume right at the Lake St. Louis Boulevard area. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Jerry Kelly swings next day installs no matter how late you call. And because they work later every day, they're faster when your equipment just needs fixing too.
That's MVP material.
Yep, simple fix or a full install. Nobody gets you comfortable faster.
JerryKelly.com. Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions. So it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid. And with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912, 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 3:34. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
Your voice, your values. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, and today the sentencing for Brian Kohberger after the 2022 stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Brief search, they found him. 4 consecutive life sentences for Kohberger. Joining us now is someone that you hear on the station and one of my favorite people to talk to, chief legal analyst and partner at Harris, Dowell, Fisher & Young, Brad Young. Hello, sir.
Talk to you, sir.
You know, at this court today, there was a lot of victim statements and family members talking about how this impacted their life, emotional statements that you heard today. So first, your reaction, this was a plea agreement. He has 4 consecutive life sentences. In a moment like this, is there even a chance he'll see outside of a prison cell?
No. The answer is no to that. And he's never getting out, particularly with 4 consecutive life sentences. Even if he would get parole on 1 life sentence, since there will be served consecutively, he's never getting out.
Is that the advantage of serving consecutively? I always think of it as, well, you get to serve the sentences at the same time. Thus, let's say you had 2 consecutive 5-year sentences. So instead of doing 10 years, you only get to do 5. It always seemed like they were cheating the victims. But in an instance like this, this would make sure he doesn't get out.
Well, sometimes you do get to serve sentences, what's called concurrently at the same time, but those are only dealing with lesser charges. This was specifically found by the judge to be consecutive, so he's never getting out. Also, the part, and this doesn't make it okay, I'm not arguing that he's in a good place at all, but also there's something called jailhouse justice. And given the kind of murders this guy did, he is not going to be a popular guy in prison. So if anyone thinks, oh, he's getting off easy because he's not going to be executed, he's going to be facing, he's going to be running for his life every single day in prison. And frankly, that sounds like pretty good justice to me.
Yeah, and when you're a high-profile case like this, it's on all the TVs inside the prison. They know exactly who this guy is, what he did, and then he listened to some of these victim statements. I'm sure they heard that, which I'm sure was very emotional for some of the people on the inside, too. They're probably even thinking about what's going to happen next when this person gets in there who has no shot. But for the most part, like, this guy had almost no emotion on his face. It didn't seem like he cared that he took 4 lives of these students. So he's going to go in there, and it sounds like he might not even be scared.
Well, he's not scared right now because he's got a bailiff guarding him. All right. But wait till he gets in the prison, with Bubba and Muhammad, and he might change.
Yep. So when he's inside, does he get to write books? What is he allowed to do? What is he not allowed to do?
Well, under federal law and state law, you cannot profit off of your crime. So, for example, I believe that O.J. Simpson wrote a book. And it was blocked from being sold because you can't profit from a crime. And the same would be true here. Now, having said that, I think there are some exceptions to that. Like if a person writes the book, but all the proceeds go to some other charity or some other third party, that may or may not be allowed. But you yourself, as the criminal, cannot profit off of your crime.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the next thing we hear about this is when he's in the news, and there'll be something along the lines of brutal beating following his name. I'm sure that'll be the next time we hear from him. But the thing is, like, these families that have been through this and they lose someone they love, someone close to them, they think about the potential and everything they had to live for. The consolation of this guy getting beat up and tortured inside of a prison is not something that consoles them. It means nothing. All they think about is the person they lost.
Correct. And the problem that we currently have with our death penalty situation in this country is this. In reality, the death penalty serves two purposes. This is black letter straight from first year law school. Serves two purposes. Number one, it imposes justice for the crime on the perpetrator of the crime. And number two, it operates as a deterrent for additional crime. So let's apply those two rationales for the death penalty to this current situation. If he were not to have pled guilty and would have gone to trial, I have no doubt he would have gotten the death penalty. However, whether it's in Idaho or any other state, even in Texas, it takes about 20 to 25 years on death row before a person is executed. Mm-hmm. So the frustration from my perspective is that when you delay it so long, you are essentially thwarting. When I say you, I mean the government is essentially thwarting both of those purposes. Number one, it doesn't serve as justice to give somebody a death penalty and then they get 20 years to live their life before they actually have to be executed. And number two, it doesn't operate as a deterrence because every criminal knows, hey, worst thing that can happen is I get the death penalty, which means I get another 20 years to live. So that's, to me, is what's frustrating about the death penalty in this country, is that it doesn't truly serve either of those two justifications.
Yeah. Later in the show, this is going to be another big interview based on the lawsuit that was filed, but Michigan Attorney General Andrew Bailey is going to join us. And you may have saw he's suing Planned Parenthood for allegedly lying to patients about the risks of the abortion pill, mifepristone. So what do you think about that case? Do you think there's something there?
Well, I think there is something there, and it's the Missouri Attorney General that's going to be joining you. I think you said Michigan, but we all know you meant Missouri.
You're right. Right.
That's okay. Yes. That's all right. But in this instance, there are some issues because this is also something that's always frustrated me about the so-called abortion pill. Because if you give someone an aspirin, a Tylenol, a vitamin, okay, you have to give out all of the legal disclaimers. And we've seen them. Look at the advertising on TV of any type of medication. Warning, it may cause colon blow. They've got to give all of those disclaimers, exactly. Right? But when it comes to abortion, somehow that gets a pass. So if someone gets an abortion pill, there are no requirements that they go through this litany of problems that could happen if you take that pill. And so that's really the basis of Attorney General Bailey's lawsuit in this instance, is because why should an abortion pill get a pass? Why should an abortion pill be treated differently than Tylenol, than any other drug for high blood pressure? Why should it be different? And in fact, one should be able to make the argument that it should in fact be more stringent than Tylenol, because Tylenol doesn't kill a life. And Tylenol doesn't stop a beating heart. Tylenol doesn't kill a being that has its own separate DNA. And so really the opposite should be true. There should be more disclaimers on an abortion pill, not less.
So let's say this goes down the line and he's successful. Does this set up perhaps like a class action suit against Planned Parenthood? Could people that took this pill say, I didn't realize the risks because they were not disclosed. You knew the risks and you decided not to disclose them. So they sue Planned Parenthood. Could you open up something even bigger after this?
it could possibly be. And in years past, again, there have been legal protections for Planned Parenthood in various situations. Again, I've never understood why those were in existence, other than, of course, the obvious, and that is the left is trying to protect the so-called and no longer right to an abortion. And so, yeah, I would hope that would open up class action lawsuits. And listen, the left tried to do with litigation to the gun industry what could easily happen to the abortion industry. Let me take you back to the late 1990s. There were a flurry of class action lawsuits against every domestic gun manufacturer, and the whole point was to put them out of business. Just like the breast implant business with silicone and all of these other products in this country that have been driven out because of litigation, they tried to do it with the gun industry, and it took a legal shield law, a federal shield law, to go into in effect to prevent that from happening. So I would like to see the same strategy here, and that is having all of these class action lawsuits against abortion provider like Planned Parenthood. There would never be an opportunity to create some sort of a legal liability shield for them, and that would be it would take a while. But listen, we want to put them out of business. It could easily be done with litigation.
Do you have time for one more question?
Oh, sure. Ryan, I've always got time for you. I'll even drive up to Detroit and wash your car, my friend, whatever you need.
All right. I'm going to remember that just in case I really need a car wash. Now, keep in mind, my car is a beater. So if you do wash it, be careful of all the rust spots. So
Okay.
the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, making a surprise appearance today at White House press briefing, saying that she's going to take some of these findings from the Intelligence Committee and pass it along to the Justice Department, meaning that there could be something there that gets further investigation into Russiagate, implicating perhaps even the former president of the United States, Barack Obama. I know we talked about this. You were telling me it's a stretch. Has anything changed? The things that have changed in the last 24 hours may have influenced your opinion, or do you still feel the same way about this case?
Well, I still feel the same way, but let me just kind of do a very quick recap on this, because even though, and I think what we heard today is that there is Russiagate evidence that directly points to Obama. Even if that's the case, even if we had a smoking gun, that we had a memo signed by Barack Obama. Now, I'm giving this as a hypothetical. This is not what came out today. But hypothetically, if there was a memo where President Obama said, I understand that this Russia influence peddling here is a complete false narrative, but we need to use the Justice Department to prosecute the president elect. Even if that were the case, I mean, there would be, even with something that blatant, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to prosecute Obama because of the immunity that's given. Now, having said that, that same level of immunity does not apply to members of the Justice Department in the Obama administration. That's only to the president. So as this evidence comes out and directly points to the Department of Justice, there could easily be criminal implications for anyone other than the president.
Do you think, okay, looking at some of the things that we know and that have been disclosed, and understanding that people knew this was baloney, from the very beginning, but then they further on more criminal actions. They're talking about using the criminal, well, I guess the justice system. I should probably use it that way. The justice system against Donald Trump. We saw impeachments, and all of these things were brought up in a way against Donald Trump, and people knew the truth, that they had something that would exonerate him, but they held back on it purposely. Is there any criminality to that?
Potentially. But even in that context, you're still in Washington, D.C., with regard to where a grand jury would sit to bring those indictments. And that, frankly, makes it difficult. You'd have to get a grand jury. Now, the good part of a grand jury is that only the prosecution presents evidence, not the defense. So they only hear one side of the issue to get an indictment. But even in Washington, D.C., I still think it would be a challenge, certainly not impossible, but it would still be a challenge even in those situations.
Maybe more of the lines of perjury, something was said under oath, knowing they knew the opposite.
Now that becomes much easier, okay? And the way that people get prosecuted for perjury is if you got a document that says one thing, where they said one thing in a document or an email, and then that same person said something else in another document, email, or before a court, or you have them applying for a warrant based upon information, and then you've got information from an email that disproves that there was a basis for the warrant. Those situations, Ryan, you could get an indictment, even in Washington, D.C., because it's very clear that they were perjuring themselves when they made assertions to the court that was the basis to either get warrants or do further investigations.
Yeah. If I were Donald Trump, I would say, all this time I've been telling you the truth. You've called me a liar this whole time. All right, Brad Young, Chief Legal Analyst, partner with Hairstyle Fisher & Young. Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Ryan. Anytime.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Don't go anywhere. 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, nothing too terrible, but we definitely have some volume out there. So if you have just left the office, westbound 70, a little moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, and then just past 370 and Highway A through Wentzville. But southbound 270, heaviest now. As you approach Olive, it's in pockets. It goes down through Doherty Ferry. A little slow at Gravois and 21 as well. Southbound 55 slowing, headed for Bates in the construction zone. Northbound 170 slowing, headed for 70. And we actually have a little bit of volume tonight on eastbound 270. It's between West Florissant and the Halls Ferries. And then it looks fine. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
A Midwestern mom from Edwardsville, Illinois, rooted in faith, grounded in family. Annie Fry brings common sense and conviction to the conversation. The Annie Fry Show, weekdays at noon on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The heat's really been extreme last week or so. I have a wife that's going through change of life, and she woke me up at 3 a.m. and said there's something wrong with the air conditioner. I checked the thermostat, and it's set at 66, and it is saying 66. Like we set it every single night. I said, okay, how do you feel? She goes, okay, well, as long as it's 66. And then within 2 minutes, all the covers are back on her, and she says she is freezing. I said, honey, the air conditioner isn't broke. Your thermostat is broke. So if you're living that way, my advice is this. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but here's what I do. I keep my laughter inside. It is real what they're feeling. You don't need to call me. You can say you called me, but you don't need to call me. Save your money. This is Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. God bless.
Reardon's back. Smarter talk for the Show Me State. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Sue Thomas, I caught a company doing a dirty dog marketing trick on me. I caught them red-handed.
What happened?
I think you're going to like this. So, I'm cheap. I think that's well established.
I was, yes. Yes is the answer to that.
So I, for my cell phone, use Mint Mobile. Are you familiar with the discount Mint Mobile?
I am.
I like it. I mean, where I live, the service is really nice. It's cheap. If you buy it for an entire year, meaning you pay everything up front for the 12 months. It comes out to $15 a month.
That's
I've had
incredible.
no issues with it.
Okay.
It's awesome. And this is not an endorsement of them. They're not paying me to say this because I'm about to rip into them here for a second. So I go on to the app because it's time to renew. And I renew it. And I'm like, I'll go look at their phones and see if they got any sales because I could probably upgrade my phone sometime.
Oh, dear.
My little port where I plug in the plug doesn't work. So I have to like almost tape it in at night to charge it.
This sounds like you. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking through the phone deals. Oh, there's a phone. Okay, this one looks good. It's a newer version of what I have. It costs $359. I'm like, okay,
Wow.
that's a pretty good deal for it.
Yes.
So then I'm looking, okay, let's look at some other brands and see if they got anything. Well, when I click the button for other brands, they say, oh, it just so happens we're running a sale. If you were to buy a phone right now, you get 2 free years. I said, oh, this is awesome. Maybe I'll definitely buy a phone. I go back and look at it. The price change on the phone, the one I looked at. Okay.
Wait a minute. Just in that amount of time.
Just in that amount of time.
Oh, boy.
So $359, and then I go back and it says, oh, the cost of the phone's now $719 for the same phone. Okay. But you get 2 free years of service. So I do a little calculation.
But
okay, if I'm paying, let's say $180 a year for the service, in 2 years would be $360 a year.
Yep.
Well, wouldn't you know,
Yep.
they jacked the price up $360.
I don't
Those
care for
dirty
it, Ryan.
dogs.
That's so slimy.
It's the same cost. Those dirty dogs tried to make it look like I had a savings.
And you know what else? The people like yourself, the Spirit Airline flyers, those who use the Mint Mobile, these are the people who are going to do the math.
Yeah.
And
I know these
that's just
things.
low.
It's so dirty. So they make it look like it's this giant, awesome advantage for you to sign up right now and lock in for 2 years at this price with the discounted. No, it's all a lie. They lied to me. They're manipulating.
The company for cheapskates thought that they could fool the cheapskates.
Yeah, I mean, try
are-
again, people. Nice
No,
try.
don't try. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
going to
that's
catch these
true.
things. I'll always catch you, Mint Mobile. So I took it. It's so funny because I saw this. I'm like, I wonder if I can go and replicate what happened. I went back and I took a screenshot this time. So I did a side-by-side comparison to show it's not
Nice.
just me that what they're doing here. They are lying to people and I don't like it one bit.
Oh, that's terrible. I will say that I do love my consumer cellular. It's not quite as cheap as Mint, but you're right. These things ride on the big, all the lines of AT&T and like a T-Mobile. They ride on the major lines. They're just a little cheaper.
Exactly. And for people that don't use the internet like crazy outside the house, it definitely has a huge advantage. All right. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Don't go anywhere. 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got a little bit of volume out there, and some of that is eastbound on 270 between West Florissant and Halls Ferry. They're not saying exactly why that is. 70 westbound, a little slow at Jennings Station Road, and then it picks up volume. Highway A out through Wentzville. Now 64, moderate volume, Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound, there was an accident early as you approach 270. But westbound, moderate volume through Chesterfield Valley, and then a little bit there, Highway N out through the 70 split. Now, southbound 270 is heaviest on either side of Olive, but there's volume that goes down through Doherty Ferry. And we've got an accident reported now, southbound on 141, south of Clayton Road. How far south? Even just south of Dutch Mill, if that helps you. At 55, a little slow, headed for Bates. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Siding Express can transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie siding. They specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This year, fuel prices have been a bit of a roller coaster. Here in St. Louis, drivers finally have some relief at the pump. But when it comes to groceries and food, it's still pretty bumpy out there. Well, you know what can make your ride smoother? The Upside app. With Upside, you can earn an average 8% cash back on grocery or restaurant purchases. And and up to 25 cents per gallon on gas, which means there's money to be earned even when fuel prices are low. There are hundreds of nearby locations like Schnucks, Burger King, Arby's, and Taco Bell. Download the app and see why millions of Upside users have racked up almost $1 billion in cashback earned. For a limited time, get a 10% bonus on your first purchase with promo code STL11. That's promo code STL11 for an extra 10% cashback bonus. With Upside, you can roll up to a nearby grocery store, restaurant, or gas station and coast straight to cashback earnings. Don't forget to use promo code STL11. Upside. Cashback smarter. Offers vary by user and location. Terms and conditions apply. Go to upside.com for details.
It's summertime, and that heat can play havoc on your plants and trees in your yard. Mark Cox here from my friends at Hanson's Tree Service. Give them a call. They will send a certified arborist to your yard to set up a plant healthcare strategy. They can help you with trees that might have a bug problem or a disease. Plus, they can deliver mulch directly to your driveway in most cases. Just go online to hansonstree.com or call them at 636-379-1830.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
He'll die in prison. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Sentencing day for the man who killed 4 University of Idaho students in 2022.
Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogan. I sentenced the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.
District Judge Stephen Hippler giving Brian Kohberger a life sentence for each victim after the killer sat nearly motionless and expressionless as loved ones wept through impact statements, some calling Kohberger a coward.
You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps.
The sister of Kaylee Goncalves telling him he's a pathetic wannabe. Kohberger did not make a statement. He waived his right to appeal under the plea deal that spared him a possible death sentence. In Wisconsin, a missing grad student is found dead. The body of Elliot Hines pulled out of the Mississippi River about 10 miles downstream from where she went missing Sunday in La Crosse.
She was last seen in a bar called Broncos downtown about 2:30 in the morning. She left to walk home. 15 minutes later, security camera recorded her walking past the river. And until her body was found, the only trace that they had found of Elliot, the mother said that her cell phone was found. But she was 22 years old. She was a graduate student at the local university studying mental health.
Fox's Mike Tobin, her cause of death still under investigation. The White House and Justice Department dismissing a Wall Street Journal report that President Trump was told in May his name is in the Jeffrey Epstein files. DOJ says the president was briefed on the finding that no further investigation or prosecution was warranted, also emphasizing the administration's efforts to unseal records related to the late sex offender. Today, a judge in Florida ruling transcripts of grand jury investigations could not be released. America is listening to Fox News.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are warm and humid this evening, and overnight evening temperatures dropping out of the 90s, but it's a slow process. 77 for the low. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid. 99 for the high Thursday afternoon with a heat index of 108. Warm and humid Thursday night, 77. The city does not get below 80. Friday, partly sunny, hot and humid. 95 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey, I've been spreading the word about Generator Supercenter of St. Louis now for a while, and unfortunately, we've had some real-life examples of why you need a great standby generator, and you can get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. They're not portable generators. These are high-quality generators that are going to make sure that your home, when the power goes out, whether it's a failure of the power grid, whether it's a tornado or a storm, you won't have to worry about it. The power grid in particular, I want to talk about that because, look, it was built in the 40s and 50s. You just had an entire country of Spain and part of Portugal go out because they were depending on green energy. Your home can be energy independent from public utilities with a Generac home standby generator at your home. Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Give yourself peace of mind. At the very least, call for that free estimate. You don't have to worry about when the power goes out. It's going to kick in right away. Stop by the showroom in Chesterfield for a free estimate or just call 314-499-2020, 499-2020, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. That's Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
The #1 fear of adults in retirement remains, will I outlive my money? The team at Ricken Financial want to help calm those fears with a complimentary income plan. This includes a deep dive into your retirement strategy to see what's working and where adjustments can be made. Call today for an initial no-cost income plan, 314-207-6211. That's 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, your AC units are going to be barking. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray. Thank you for coming on for a few minutes. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, is it hot enough for you?
Yeah, is it?
Oh, my gosh.
No. Gonna hear that enough. All right. So it's going to be hot. Extreme heat warning will be hitting a lot of different people. So what can we expect?
Yeah, the warning, it's interesting. The warning goes until Thursday at about 7 p.m. That could easily get extended. In fact, I'll be surprised if it doesn't. There's a big old Bermuda high pressure system that finds its way from the Bermuda area in the Atlantic. It digs its way west over the eastern U.S., Midwest, really all the way to the eastern Rocky Mountains. And it's kind of a classic heat pattern for the nation. We haven't seen a good old solid Bermuda high in a couple of years, but this one's locked in. Every once in a while, you try to get a little impulse from the northwest that will try to penetrate that high. That it never works. just never works. And it does look like, even though we're going to see a bit of an increase in spot afternoon thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which will bring some temporary cooling for like an hour or so, and then the temperatures jump right back. It does look like the Bermuda high winds, and I don't see any reason not to extend this thing through next week, all of next week.
Really?
All right.
Oh, that is so
Really?
depressing. Dave, is there any...
I thought you would like that.
Is there any rain in there? Because the yard, we had a little bit of showers, and I thought, yay, something. And then
Yeah, we get these pop-up storms. There's nothing out there today. It's all way to our east. There's not going to be much tomorrow. The high pressure really in control. There'll be a bit of an increase Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not a lot of us will see it, but where they happen, there will be heavy downpours of rain and lightning. So these things, don't fool with them, even though they may not be very big. They do pop up. Yesterday we had a couple of them in some areas of Metro St. Louis. And there was some torrential downpours, but they just don't last very long. They're really what we call pulse storms. They fire up, they do their thing, and then they collapse and they're gone.
Dave, this is Fred. I had that exactly happen to me last night riding home from work. I was driving down southbound 55, and like only between two exits, it rained so hard that people were pulling over. It was just a torrential downpour.
That is just what these things do. When we say spot thunderstorms, it's really that's the definition, is that a lot of us don't see it, but where they happen, it really rains, and there can be some real dangerous lightning with these things, but they typically do not last very long. They don't cover a lot of ground.
I'll tell you what, it really does make me nervous to have my air conditioner run that much. Yeah. And I have it set at like 78.
Oh, and it's still running.
How do you do that?
Well, you get used to it, but I mean, that's upstairs. And then at night, we'll turn it down to like a 73 with a ceiling fan that's just serious. But, during the day, but the dogs will go downstairs where it's, 76 or whatever. But if you do it, and I feel like this is running all the time. If somebody has it, what's your house, Fred, like in the 60s?
No. I had to get an executive order to get it to 73.
Okay. If Fred's house is 73, is it running 24/7?
Sounds like it.
I feel like it is. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah.
That's all.
Most likely they are. Yeah, they'll cycle down every once in a while just to kind of cool all the parts, make sure that the Freon doesn't go crazy in the system. And then it just fires back up again. But it's real, especially in the, you get the afternoon heat depending on how your house faces and windows. The best thing to do is, especially if you're working all day, is close the blinds, close the shades, close the drapes, close the house all up. Okay. And that will help you. That will help your AC. It will also help. It's not huge, but it will help keep your house a little cooler anyway.
But you know what I found works the best in situations like this is you just lie to yourself and say it's not that bad. Just lie to yourself.
Oh, okay.
Does it work? I don't think that works.
Great.
Oh.
It's not that bad.
You can always get a big bowl of ice, put a fan on one side, and you're on the other side.
That's true. Go old school.
Yeah, it works.
Right.
It works.
All right.
Yeah, and the wife vetoes this. I try to keep it up a little bit, but you got to cool it down at night so you're at least comfortable, especially for the kids' sake.
Right.
You don't want them waking up at night. But I find that once you get the AC running, you're praying, please don't go out on me. But I got these old, 30, 35-year-old units, so it's just a ticking time bomb. But it works like a charm. Not efficient, but it works like a beast. But I don't want this to be the year. Every year you say that. I don't want this to be the year. All right, so just real briefly, when is this out? Like you say, they're probably going to extend this heat warning. It could look that way.
So, anyway.
When is it going to be out of the system? When do you think we're in the clear?
I don't see it. I don't see it the rest of July. Which isn't bad. Look at the calendar.
You're
That's
right.
not too long.
30 days says September, April. Yeah, like Thursday.
There's two things that move these things. One is a really strong cold front from the north. Doesn't happen much in the summertime. The other is a tropical system that finds its way across the Gulf of Mexico into Texas, and then it comes up the Mississippi Valley. those things will penetrate the dome of high pressure and kind of weaken it, squeeze it out, and get things kind of back to normal. Now, there is a tiny little tropical system kind of in the it's in the Gulf right now. It's a very tiny chance of it developing into anything, but that's the only hope that's on the weather maps right now. And it's barely, I don't even really want to talk about it because it just gets everybody's hopes up.
Yeah, you're right,
Canada, all the Canada gives us this time of year are wildfire smoke. Why can't they push some of that Arctic air down right about now?
And that, look at it this way. The Bermuda High is keeping that stuff away. There's a positive, right? Now there is smoke that's all across the upper Midwest right now, but the Bermuda High will force that stuff. Even the smoke can't penetrate the high.
Got it. All right. Dave Murray, thank you so much for joining us, explaining what's going on and breaking the news that we are going to be hot for at least the next 7 days. Ugh.
Don't forget your pets. They need a lot of extra water.
Absolutely. Keep them in. But when you're in Sue's house, they're going to be hot indoors too. So make sure you have extra water there too. Let's get to Sue's news after the break. You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was an accident reported on eastbound 6440 as you approach 270. And they're saying that it was blocking the right-hand side. I'm trying to pull that one up just to see where it is. But it is. It's on the right lane and the right shoulder. So this is causing a delay behind it, and it's not quite back to 141. Now, there was an accident southbound 141 past Dutch Mill that has left us with a jam that goes back north of 6440. And it's not quite to Ladue Road, but it's in that area. So southbound 270, slow pockets approaching Olive. That goes down through just south of 44. Westbound 70, out west, slowing at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And we've also got Highway 64 slow between Highway N and the 70 split. Headed into Illinois, just fine, but westbound is slow because there's an accident on 44 westbound south of the bridge. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie Siding. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Since we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see and hear lots of lawyer ads. It seems that most are bragging on what they got their clients. But be careful. If you heard that someone sold their car for $500,000, you would be impressed. But if you later learned that it was a rare $10 million Ferrari, would you say that person got screwed? And that's before you even know if it's true. Who is fact-checking? And how much went to medical bills and lawyers' fees? If you want to get an idea what your case may be really worth, visit forthepeople.com and go to settlements and verdicts. You will see what a law firm like ours is capable of. And fact check for yourself. All that glitters is not gold. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won big, a lot. At Morgan & Morgan, we represent consumers. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon with news for listeners who, like me, want to learn more about Bitcoin. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club is coming to St. Louis later this summer. The Bitcoin Ben Crypto Clubs teach members what Bitcoin is, how to buy it, how to safely store it, and how to avoid scams. And we'll connect with others like us who want to learn more about crypto. St. Louis will be the 7th club nationwide and Ben's hometown. If you want to know more about Bitcoin, you need to know Bitcoin Ben. Learn more at bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io.
Do you know about the true crimes that inspired a Bruce Springsteen album? Or the murders AC/DC was blamed for? How about Taylor Swift's Violent Stalkers? Or the suspicious deaths of Brittany Murphy and River Phoenix? These stories and more are told in the Disgraceland podcast, hosted by me, Jake Brennan, every Tuesday, where I dive deep into subjects from the dark side of music history and entertainment. So follow and listen to Disgraceland on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
He's not here to play nice. He's here to make you think. Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
be a hot one. You heard it from Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray there. Extreme heat warning on the way. He believes it's going to last till the end of the month, so just get ready for that. Hot and sweaty. I need to get a handkerchief and just, slowly just wipe the beads of sweat off my forehead. I had an uncle that would sweat while he ate, and he always kept a handkerchief, and he would wipe his forehead while he was eating.
Okay, a friend of mine always claimed he got the meat sweats. Is that what your uncle had?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time we were together, it was a major meal. Meat was always involved.
Meat sweats.
And he would be in labored breath after a while. So, Ryan, how's school? He'd talk like that and wipe his forehead. And it became a family tradition to imitate Uncle Jimmy every time we would sit down.
Did you just change his name to protect the guilty?
No, that's his name.
Okay.
I don't think I've talked to him in 20 years, but he's out there somewhere. All right, Ethan, how about we do it? Sue's News.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
What is it about the meat that makes you sweat, Fred? Any ideas?
Excitement.
Well, you know what? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, neither did I.
It's passion and love.
That's right.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my friend Paul would say, well, let's order a pizza. Okay. Don't get meat, I would say. Please. We don't want to sweat it up here this afternoon. Let's just get a veggie. Okay. On this day, well, first of all, let's talk about what day it is. It's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day.
Awesome.
Is that
Love
your
it.
favorite? Is vanilla, Ryan?
No, but it goes good with everything. You could put vanilla ice cream next to literally anything and still enjoy it.
True. You could put any topping you'd like. Gorgeous Grandma Day. I don't know who that's for, but happy Gorgeous Grandma Day. And this one I love, National Sprinkles Day. You know, the little sprinkles you could put on anything? Oh, there's an ice cream place in Illinois, and I'm not gonna, somebody can call in probably and tell me where this is, but it's got sprinkles. They do, one of the swirl cones, but it's got sprinkles kind of like the old DQ did with those little rocks in there. I can't tell you what they are. Like, were they peanuts, but I call them sprinkles, and they roll the cone in there. It's the best thing known to man. Fred? Fred's looking at me.
I'm still stuck on Gorgeous Grandma's Day.
Well,
do you think they have a lobbying group? How do they do that?
I don't know. I think you just did. You could just say it's Fred Day.
Oh,
you know what?
You can apply for
Every
it.
day is Fred Day.
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
I got to tell you, Fred's onto something here. What if that day was created by a real creep and they just arbitrarily said it's what is it?
Gorgeous
Awesome
Grandma Day.
Gorgeous Grandma Day, and it was actually started by some pervert.
Oh.
Well, I did not think of that. Thanks for that.
Why'd you have to make Gorgeous Grandma Day such a dark thing?
Good grief. I'm trying to light it up with sprinkles. Suddenly we got that.
I'm pro sprinkles. Let's get back to sprinkles, okay?
My goodness. All right, this is not a happy story, but I did not realize this. On this day in history, 52 years ago, Fred, you might remember this. This is in 1973. St. Louis had its worst air disaster. Now, this is from Joe Sonderman's book, This Day in History. During a severe thunderstorm, an Ozark Airlines turboprop plane crashed into a hill near UMSL. There were 44 passengers on board. 38 did not make it.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, my gosh.
I remember Ozark Airlines,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the accident.
It was Flight 809 from Nashville, and it crashed near 70 and Florissant Road at Mount Providence School, and the NTSB concluded that the problem it was caused by what they had then started learning, or we learned later, was wind shear.
Oh,
so it took them down 52 years ago. That just freaked me out. I had never heard that story. And 25 years ago, in 2000, it's Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods became the youngest player to win the career Grand Slam. Guess how old he was, Ethan?
25.
Good guess, Fred.
24.
That is correct.
Oh, nice.
24 years old. Not too shabby.
I'm 24. No. God, that's depressing.
It's a record-breaking performance, of course, of his in the British Open that did that. All right, they do in the summer a lot of surveys that ask about what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that. And a new survey has looked at the 50 most populated cities in America. Which is the favorite? Okay, so it's not going to be like a small town. What currently is the favorite city in America? I will give you each a hint. It is not on a coast. Ryan Recker.
So this is in the major cities, top 50
Yes.
major cities.
It's going to be top 30 markets. How about that?
Let's say Milwaukee.
That's a good guess. No, Fred. Think about it.
Indianapolis.
No, think about popularity, Ethan. Like, what's the place to go?
Okay,
right now?
I got it.
What
I know
is
what
it?
it is.
Okay,
I know it.
I'm ready.
Oh God, you guys are like set on it. I'm like, I don't know.
I think we're thinking the same thing.
I'm gonna go with I really have no idea. I'll say Kansas City just for
Okay,
throw out an
Ryan,
option.
say it with me on the count of three.
Three.
One,
All right.
two,
1,
two,
3.
Nashville.
that is correct.
Oh, that's so obvious. How did I?
The kids love the Nashville, but so do the adults. It's a great place, and it really has taken off food-wise. Boy, if you go to Nashville, send me a message first. I'll send you to the good place. Nashville is the winner, but it's followed by a three-way tie between San Diego, Colorado Springs, and Virginia Beach.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Coming in at number 5 is Charlotte, North Carolina. Denver at number 6. Okay, the kids love Denver. Like my friends'
just
kids
high.
all live there. Yeah. Well, I'll try not to. Let's hope not. Raleigh, North Carolina at number 7. San Antonio at number 8. Sorry, Ryan, I had not pre-read this, and I just got to this. Detroit has the lowest favorability, but
Doesn't surprise me.
it's followed by Oakland and Bakersfield. And it's also worth mentioning that Raleigh beats out Nashville when it comes to Americans who have actually been to the city. Because some of these people would just say, hey, what do you think is cool? What's the cool place now? And they would say, Nashville. It's just interesting. Now, I'm a person who does not like a meeting. I don't think I'm alone in this. If you've got a corporate 9-to-5 job, how much of your day is derailed by meetings? Would you say it's more or less all of it? Microsoft has a new report out that claims that office employees are interrupted by meetings, emails, and other work-related pings every 2 minutes.
Wow.
That would just drive me nuts. They say 60% of meetings are ad hoc, called at the moment. And because of all these meetings during the workday, they said there's been a 15% increase in the number of chats sent daily outside of work hours.
Is it just me, or are the meetings kind of rare here, at least for us?
Oh, yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are definitely lucky. Sorry, crowd.
Maybe we need more.
Crowd is not so
No.
lucky.
Do not.
But, the thing is that was mentioned in that thing we talked about yesterday, the 4-day work week. People found that part of their happiness was that there were fewer meetings because there were fewer days and people had to be left alone to get stuff done.
Oh.
So that was a part of why people loved it. All right, there is an electrical engineer in rural Vermont who is pitching in by fixing up old payphones and installing them in spots with no cell service.
Oh.
That's kind of a clever idea. He buys them for a couple $100, adds a gadget that connects them to the internet, and installs them outside of businesses. And since they're online, you don't need a quarter. The calls are free. It's a stroke of genius.
What?
The one getting used the most is outside a library. He says kids use it to call their parents for rides. Each phone costs $10 a month in admin fees, but he pays for it, or at least has done it so far. And he's also the operator. So if you dial 0, his cell phone rings, which I think is adorable. So I'm loving that. I just think that's a really cute idea. Ethan, have you ever used a payphone?
Not ever in my life.
Have you seen one?
Yeah, for sure.
Have you just gone in it, or you just looked at it from afar as something to behold?
Well, I mean, you talk about it. When you say go in it, I don't know if I've ever seen one. I've seen I don't know if I've ever seen one where you have to go inside of an enclosed space to use one.
Oh, that's interesting.
You've never seen a phone booth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
I see.
You know what I'm understanding?
What is your
difference?
yeah? What do you think first when you think of one of those phone booths, Fred? I think of gum stuck on stuff.
Really? I think of the TV show Doctor Who.
That's what I also think
TARDIS.
of. It's also what I think of.
I do not watch
No
that.
Superman?
Oh, that would be a good one.
Like, don't they have a lot of those in like London?
The red ones?
The red ones? Yeah, that's what I think of.
And finally, in Sue's news, we do have today's random fact. I kind of thought Fred would like this one. I don't know why. The tongue twister, She Sells Seashells by the Seashore, was inspired by a female paleontologist, named Mary Anning, who sold fossils out of a little stand on Dorset Beach in England in the early 1800s. So the tongue twister, She Sells Seashells by the Seashore, inspired by a female paleontologist in England.
That is mighty random.
That is random, and that's it for Susan News.
All right, so what were in these MLK Jr. files? A Pulitzer Prize winner is joining us, historian, after the break. Dave Garrow on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Chad Robison with Your Money Now. Alphabet reporting second quarter earnings today after the closing bell. Revenue overshot LSEG estimates by more than $2 billion to $96.43 billion and $2.31 a share. YouTube ad revenue also overshot the mark, landing higher than the $9.56 billion estimate to $9.79 billion. Shares of wearable camera firm GoPro and donut maker Krispy Kreme rose more than 49% and 34% respectively today. Meme traders also appearing to ditch shares of Kohl's as shares dropped more than 14% on the heels of surging more than 37% in yesterday's session. On Wall Street, stocks finished higher, with the Dow up more than 500 points. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ set fresh records. U.S. crude oil futures for September delivery were up slightly today, sitting above $65 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
If you are someone who is nearing retirement, even if you're 10 years out, let's say, you could be really close, you could be farther out, but you may wonder, okay, how much do I need to save? What should I be doing here? I like the idea of having a written retirement financial plan in place. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, that gives you just a sense of safety and that you have a handle on what's happening. This is why I like financial and tax architects. They are the best. They have helped so many St. Louisans, well, actually on the Missouri and Illinois side, retire with confidence. And they start by educating you. And what they do is bring you to a one-night education class for adults called Retirement Planning 101. It's no cost, no obligation, but you start to learn how things work, how taxes work in retirement, when you could take Social Security. So you do have to register for the class. Call 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101.
I had a technician from Zero Res at my home over the weekend. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, and here's why. Because I got the puppy, we got puppy accidents, but I'm trying to keep him off the carpet. So I depend on Zero Res. I really have for more than a decade. Maybe at a graduation party, a 4th of July barbecue where the carpet's not looking very good, or just haven't done it in a while. And look, the bottom line is, and the text can show you this, vacuuming is not sufficient. I only had him do part of my carpeting, and then I said, but you better do the stairs that go to downstairs, because you can just tell that they're kind of gross. So look, here's the other thing. The floors were dried so quickly, And by that night, they smelled great. Vacuuming is not going to handle it. You need to do the carpets. They can do the tile, the rugs, upholstery, and the air ducts. And here's the special for this month. 3 rooms of carpet clean plus $50 off air duct services. So if you get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, get 1 free. It's a buy 3, get 1, if you will. $50 off air duct services this month when you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. Call 474-2020 or online, zeroresstl.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:34 is the time. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
25 years strong. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is a historian, a Pulitzer Prize winner for his biography on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's called Bearing the Cross. And with the new released documents that came out just a few days ago, we want to welcome him, Dave Garrow. Thank you for coming on in St. Louis here.
Happy to be with you.
I really find this fascinating. I think that the releasing of government documents, we have the JFK files being a big one. Now the Martin Luther King Jr. files just released the last couple of days. People have been combing through them. I know you have seen them. Is there anything that you've learned from these documents?
There's virtually nothing new here because the vast majority of these records previously were released decades ago. I first saw the main file on Dr. King's assassination, which the FBI creatively called Merkin, as in murder of King, in 1978. What we have here oftentimes is simply a re-release of documents that have been out there in multiple copies for a long time. It's very difficult for 99.9% of people to look at the National Archives webpage and make any sense of this, because you have to understand FBI numerical classification usages to even know what this sort of spreadsheet of strange numbers amounts to. I've worked with FBI records for 47 years, and so, I know that a 190 file means a Freedom of Information Act request, and 44, which was Merkin, is a federal civil rights violation.
Oh, interesting. So, I've gone through a lot of the JFK files just because of pure curiosity. You go to the website and all these different documents are saved as PDFs. You can just kind of randomly click on page after page after page and try to find something. And, there's a lot of instances where the information, though not new, it was kind of new to me. And you start to see certain patterns, things that people were saying, things that were filed a certain way. I know that you've seen all of these different documents, but was there nothing that you came across that was unique, something that you're like, oh, I don't remember seeing that before?
About a total of 4 pages. Under the 62 classification, which is what the Bureau used for its dealings with the congressional investigating committees in the 1970s, I saw 2 pages. One was an internal New York office FBI memo about doing a bag job of a secret break-in at Communist Party headquarters. And even inside the FBI, a memo like that was written with some sort of coded distractions, so that your average file clerk wouldn't readily understand what the bosses were discussing. And there's a copy of a 1961 authorization signed by Robert Kennedy, then the Attorney General, about FBI microphone surveillance practices. I bet that's been released before, but I didn't remember seeing it. And then lastly, in the CIA portion of the release, there's a wonderful 2-page personnel interview that the agency did in 1973 with the black Memphis police officer who'd been the first person to rush to Dr. King's body when he was shot on that balcony at the Lorraine Motel. That black undercover officer, perchance then 6 years later, joins the CIA. And so, when he's being asked to meet with the congressional committees in the 70s and later on, the CIA is trying to figure out, how to, protect his agency employment.
Oh, interesting. So for someone that studied this, and I mean a lot over the last couple of decades, are there any documents that you were hoping would be released? Are there any missing pieces that you just have not found but continue to search for?
There are two things I've expected to see in the past that I've still not seen, both of which were House Assassinations Committee interviews, which we knew took place in the late 1970s with two human FBI informants, Jim Harrison, who was the FBI's informant inside Dr. King's organization in Atlanta, and then black photographer Ernest Withers, who was the FBI's most important African-American informant in Memphis. I'm certain that there would be some account of their meetings with the Assassinations Committee, but they haven't popped up yet.
There's some things that I think people know about Martin Luther King Jr., and one of the stories that I think is told a lot that I don't know the whole backstory to, but I'm hoping you might be able to tell me more. Did the FBI send wiretap tapes to Martin Luther King of him admitting and talking about his infidelity with the suggestion that he would commit suicide before he received a Nobel Peace Prize? Is that right?
The letter that accompanied the tape certainly intimated that he should commit suicide, but it was timed, the deadline that the anonymous letter tried to set was actually Christmas 1964.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Nobody at Dr. King's office opened the package until early January, when it, understandably made him distraught. The tape that was enclosed with the anonymous threatening letter was from microphone bugs of King's hotel rooms. Back in the technology of the 1960s, a wiretap was a clip put on a phone line. A bug, was a microphone that had to be, put in a room. And at the Washington Hotel where King and his friends stayed in early 1964, with the connivance of the hotel staff, they had the maids carry into those rooms lamps that had, in which the FBI had inserted the bugs into the lamps. And then the bug has a transmitter, and the FBI is literally in the room right upstairs.
Joining us here is historian, Pulitzer Prize winner for his biography on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bearing the Cross. His name is Dave Garrow. And there was some controversy about releasing these files. I think some family members of Martin Luther King Jr. said, don't release them. Maybe it's just a publicity stunt. There's no need. but there was different reasons for it. Some people didn't want to see these things released. So what do you think about the family members that perhaps didn't want this information, even though it's already been out there, but to see this document dump?
Neither of the surviving King children are terribly knowledgeable about what all this entails, to say it frankly. They are fearful. They know enough to be fearful of that hotel room microphone surveillance material, which remains under federal court seal. That was taken away from the FBI in 1977 and given to the National Archives under a 50-year seal, which will expire in 2027. A few months ago, the current administration moved in court to have the seal terminated early this year. But the judge in D.C. who has the case has indicated pretty clearly at his last hearing that he's not going to move the disclosure timetable for that, up from 2027.
Do you think sometimes when we talk about the details of the files, the case, we forget about the message, the humanity of it all? Does it take away from that?
It's a very complicated story. What the FBI obtained, both from the bugs and from the wiretaps, were shared across the federal government. The most controversial thing that they overheard in that 1964 hotel room surveillance was Dr. King telling an extremely unpleasant joke about the late president. This was 6 weeks after John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. So the FBI immediately shares that with Robert Kennedy, who's still Attorney General. And at some point, Bobby described that to Jacqueline, JFK's widow. You can see online from years past that Jacqueline Kennedy, as a result, did not have positive feelings about Dr. King. And they sent all of that for years to Lyndon Johnson. Indeed, after Dr. King's 1968 murder, Johnson asked for all of those transcripts to be sent back to him so that he could reread them. Not a healthy attitude. To understand how the people at the top of the federal government dealt with Dr. King really requires us as professional scholars to deal with the reality of what happened.
Wow. Well, if people wanted to look up your book, your work, your biography, where can they go to find it?
I have a web page where all of my non-book materials are available. Just davidgarrow.com, Garrow. Both Bearing the Cross and my earlier book on the FBI and pursuit of Dr. King, those are going to be in pretty much every public library.
Fantastic. Historian and Pulitzer Prize winner for his biography on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., looking at some of the released files here. Dave Garrow, thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it. And thank you for your time here today.
Thank you, Ryan.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us after the break is Guinn Hinman. He's the chair of the Wall That Heals Committee, and we're going to talk to him about what's being set up at the Jefferson Barrack Park and what you can do to help support it.
Ryan,
so don't go anywhere. Yes.
Guinn is a she.
Well, Guinn will be joining
And
us
she's
there.
awesome.
I can't wait to talk to Guinn after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I'll tell you what, traffic-wise, it's not that bad out there, but we do have some things to mention. For instance, if you are downtown and you're headed into Illinois, there's a little bit of volume headed for the Poplar. 44 westbound is slowing in front of the Arch grounds. There's volume on westbound 6440. It's approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland and slow through Chesterfield Valley, a little bit off the pace Highway N. 70, some slow-moving traffic around Jennings Station Road. Then it lines up, and this is just past 79 out through Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, there was a jam on 364 westbound right at 94 and slow-moving traffic southbound 270. Heaviest from Page through Ladue Road, but slow pockets down through Gravois. And 55, that's a slow go as well, although mainly just south of Arsenal through Bates in the construction zone, the never-ending construction zone. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Join me July 28th at Old Hickory Golf Club for the Missouri Republican PAC's first annual golf tournament benefiting Senator Adam Schnelting. Teams and individual golfers are welcome. Learn more at 971talk.com/events. Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Speeding while driving gives you less time to react. Another car could turn out in front of you. A pedestrian could be walking their dog. Follow the speed limit to keep them safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Bold conversations, no apologies. The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Joining us now is the chair of the Wall That Heals Committee. It's Guinn Hinman. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Hi there. Thank you guys so much for having me.
So this is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. You probably have seen pictures of it in DC, maybe not seen it in person, but this gives you an opportunity to give some respect to Vietnam veterans, see something that's traveling, and they could do this starting tomorrow at Jefferson Barracks. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, technically we're open now. The wall is here. It was assembled today, and we'll be open 24 hours a day until Sunday afternoon.
Gwen, talk about the importance of this. What's the meaning? Because this one is a sanctioned actual replica that travels around the country, and to get it to St. Louis is a big deal. And talk about what it means to people to be able to see this.
Yeah, absolutely. So our application, which we submitted over a year ago, our application was chosen out of 130 applicants. And so it means the world to us to be given this opportunity, but more importantly, to bring the wall to Jefferson Barracks, which is the final resting place of so many of the names on that wall, has been really deeply significant for all of us. So we're proud to offer this opportunity for our veterans to experience the wall in their community. So a lot of times we hear that people just haven't been able to travel to DC, or maybe they haven't felt like they could face the wall. And having it here in their backyard with their friends and family around them makes it a lot easier.
So this wall, it's 3/4 replica scale. So every name that is in Washington, D.C. is on this replica?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's an exact replica. So the wall came to us from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. And so they are the nonprofit that are the keepers and the creators of the wall. So there's 58,281 names on the wall, and over 450 of those are St. Louisans.
Oh, wow. Gosh, Gwen, tell us how long it's here. I know it's not here long. The grand opening tomorrow, you say you can access it now, but the grand opening tomorrow, and then it leaves on the 27th, yes?
Yes. So grand opening is on Thursday morning, and then open 24 hours a day until Sunday at 2 p.m. when we have a closing ceremony. So we'll have a number of events during those days. So each evening at sunset, we'll be playing taps, which, as you can imagine, will be a very moving experience. We have our opening ceremony tomorrow on Thursday. And then Friday evening, we have a candlelight PTSD memorial ceremony. And so that'll be at sunset as well. And that's just to honor and recognize those who came home and still suffer.
So I want to make sure, are you taking donations? Is it ticketed or anything like that? Or can you just come and experience it?
So the event is free to the public. All of the events and the wall and coming out here, parking, everything is free. We want to do this for the community so they can come out and experience the wall. The VVMF, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, they will be accepting donations. Again, they're a nonprofit. And so, they do all of this through the goodwill of donations and people helping to support them.
Wow. I keep thinking of it. Let's say you have kids now and hey, take the kids and say, we're going to take grandpa to the wall. This is something you have to take advantage of while it's here in St. Louis. Again, just go to Jefferson Barracks, and I'm guessing there's signs. People will be directed where to go.
Yes. So the wall that heals is in Jefferson Barracks Park. So it's not at the cemetery, but it's in the park. And it's right next to the Powder Magazine Museum. And the address is 399 CCC Road. But there'll be tons of signs. If you can make your way into the park side, you should be able to find your way to the wall.
Gwen, thank you for applying and for getting this here, because this is a really big deal, especially for those who couldn't travel. And I didn't realize there were that many St. Louisans listed on the wall. So thank you.
Right. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were all surprised to learn that too. And so we're just so honored to be able to do this for them and for their families, and just to share this with our community.
Yep. The wall that heals at Jefferson Barrack Park. Go check it out the next couple of days. Take advantage of it while it's here. Do not miss it. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey joining us after the break on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, let's take a look here. We have more volume than I would have expected just for a Wednesday in the summer. And westbound 6440 is one of those areas. It's lined up approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. Eastbound is slowing at 170 through Big Bend. Southbound 170 is slow go at 64. Southbound 270, slow pockets Page through Doherty Ferry. We've got an accident reported now on Manchester, just a little bit west of Mason Road. Traffic is jammed there in both directions. And out west, 64, there's some volume at Boone's Crossing, but it's 70 that's lined up this afternoon between 79 and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
When I talk about Banner Construction here in St. Louis, a company that's been around since 1993, I often try to guide you into a particular part of the website. That's the showcase section. It's easy to find. If you go to bannerconstruction.com, you'll see at the top of the page, along with the phone number, by the way, home, about us, showcase, James Hardy Siding, and blog. You can learn a lot about the James Hardy Siding. But if you press on the showcase, you'll see homes that were maybe kind of average looking. Maybe originally they were beautiful, but they had, light, plain vinyl siding that didn't look very good. They transform it with beautiful James Hardy siding that can come in a variety of colors. There's one in Chesterfield that has brown siding that looks fantastic. You can see actual pictures if you go to that showcase portion of the website. You can also learn about the James Hardy siding. It's a great company that's been around for a long time. Their material does not warp or fade like a lot of siding. That's why you need the experts at Banner Construction. And they're there for you right now. If you'd like to get a hold of them and get a free in-home design consultation, it's just a phone call away. 314-569-1050. The website, bannerconstruction.com.
This year, fuel prices have been a bit of a roller coaster. Here in St. Louis, drivers finally have some relief at the pump. But when it comes to groceries and food, it's still pretty bumpy out there. Well, you know what can make your ride smoother? The Upside app. With Upside, you can earn an average 8% cash back on grocery or restaurant purchases and up to 25 cents per gallon on gas, which means there's money to be earned even when fuel prices are low. There are hundreds of nearby locations like Schnucks, Burger King, Arby's, and Taco Bell. Download the app and see why millions of Upside users have racked up almost $1 billion in cash back earned. For a limited time, get a 10% bonus on your first purchase with promo code STL11. That's promo code STL11 for an extra 10% cash back bonus. With Upside, you can roll up to a nearby grocery store, restaurant, or gas station and coast straight to cash back earnings. Don't forget to use promo code STL11. Upside. Cashback smarter. Offers vary by user and location. Terms and conditions apply. Go to upside.com for details.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Comedian Rob Schneider coming up in the 5 o'clock hour right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The request rejected. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A judge has turned down the effort from the Trump administration to unseal the grand jury records on Jeffrey Epstein in Florida. A similar request in New York is pending. This as a House panel has just voted to subpoena files in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Speaker Mike Johnson said earlier today.
We're in lockstep with President Trump and his administration on this issue. We are pushing for the release of all credible information to be released with regard to the Epstein matter.
3 Republicans on the panel voted with Democrats for the subpoena, sending it through on an 8-2 vote tally. The speaker says he supports the House Oversight Committee issuing a subpoena for convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, but does question if her testimony can be trusted. The White House not denying a report from the Wall Street Journal that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed President Trump that his name appears on the Epstein files multiple times. Communications Director Stephen Chung says the president kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep. Life in prison without parole for Brian Kohberger for the murder of 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. Kohberger took a plea deal, avoiding the possibility of the death penalty and waiving his right to appeal.
I want you to know this. My sincere wish is that you have not carried this burden alone.
Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador Kohberger did not address the court at sentencing. President Trump hosting an AI summit in Washington.
From this day forward, it'll be a policy of the United States to do whatever it takes to lead the world in artificial intelligence.
The president calling the technology groundbreaking and said it will determine the future of civilization. Wall Street stocks made gains after President Trump announced a trade deal between the U.S. and Japan. The Dow added 507, the Nasdaq gained 127, the S&P plus 49. America is listening to Fox News.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are warm and humid this evening, and overnight evening temperatures dropping out of the 90s, but it's a slow process. 77 for the low. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid. 99 for the high Thursday afternoon with a heat index of 108. Warm and humid Thursday night, 77. The city does not get below 80. Friday, partly sunny, hot and humid. 95 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. We have such a huge lineup of fantastic guests for this hour. Rob Schneider, the actor and comedian, is going to join us. He's going to be in town to talk about the Shroud of Turin, which is very fascinating. Joining us now is someone that is making a lot of waves nationwide and also taking on some very important cases, is Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Thank you for joining us here in St. Louis.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
So one of the big things that we've seen in recent years, or at least I would say in the last recent months, is trying to bring integrity back into women's athletics, particularly college, high school sports. And part of that is trying to reverse some of the damage that was done the last 4 years under President Joe Biden. You have joined other attorney generals across the United States demanding that NCAA reinstates the records, titles, and awards and recognitions from those female athletes who had them stripped away. Can you talk about this suit and what you hope happens?
Yeah, look, this is about restoring the integrity of women's sports, and let's restore those champion women who have achieved at the highest level of athletic competition to the pantheon where they belong in the record books. Shame on Joe Biden and the radical progressive left for ever letting men compete in women's sports and steal those titles.
I find that a lot of people agree with that. They look at the unfair advantages, and generally speaking, what you're doing is you're taking female athletics, you're making it into this cultural game, which is not designed to be, particularly when you're playing these like gender politics into it. They just want it to be what it's designed to be, biological women competing with other biological women. That way it's fair. But what you find is that fairness, once it's taken away, that you lose the integrity of it. And in college sports, especially at that level, and even when you go back to high school athletics, that's something that people just don't want to see. So I feel like you're in good company.
Yeah, I mean, look, 26 other states have joined this demand, and that's what we feel like we're in good company. Who's on the other side of this issue? I mean, who is it that's arguing that biology doesn't matter, or that somehow women should have a lesser role if men come in and steal their accomplishments? I mean, I've never heard anyone argue that, yet that's the position that the Biden administration took, and it's absolutely untenable. Biological reality does matter. At the end of the day, God gave men and women different parts for a reason. And so we have women's sports where women have achieved incredible accomplishments. We should be celebrating those, not denigrating them by allowing men to steal those records.
So do you take this on a federal level when you join other attorney generals as opposed to a state level, for the sake that, the NCAA may realize, okay, this is the way people feel now, but then they don't change their mind, like let's say a leftist progressive gets into the White House or whatever, and then they start this push up again in the future? Is the whole idea trying to set this as the benchmark, as the ground laying to make sure it doesn't change in the future?
Yeah, I think that's right. And there's strength in numbers. Like I said, when I've got more than half the states in the nation, more than half the states of the nation joining this effort and all speaking with one voice, there's strength in numbers. And Missouri was proud to be one of the voices in this process. And look, Missouri's led the way on this issue since I took office back in January of 2023. when the whistleblower came forward from the transgender mutilation clinic there in St. Louis saying that this stuff was harming children. It was not based on science or medicine, and that, gender dysphoria is a mental health problem that should be treated with psychology and psychiatry, not powerful drugs, gender mutilation, or ignoring biological realities.
Yeah, I do think in the future we'll go back and look at this, and we'll look at some of these different surgeries that were done, these genital mutilations and things that were cheered. We'll be horrified by, culturally speaking, what we signed on to, or at least allowed, and then tried to advocate for. In some cases, it was just quite terrifying. Joining us now is Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. I wanted to talk to you about your lawsuit with Planned Parenthood and what could come from this. So the idea is that when you have these certain abortion pills, mifepristone, these medications are not fully disclosing the side effects with it. Let's talk about that, because why do you think Planned Parenthood, or at least these abortion pills, are treated differently than any other medication? I don't get that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And Planned Parenthood is not allowed to lie. And the problem is their lies are deadly. Planned Parenthood is targeting Missouri women, saying that mifepristone, a powerful chemical designed to kill a child in the womb, is somehow as safe as over-the-counter medication like Tylenol. Well, we know that's not true based on clinical studies in science and medicine that has been published for the past several years. 4 to 10% of women who take this powerful drug, mifepristone, suffer life-threatening complications. We're talking about botched abortions, hemorrhaging, and enormous unknown risks if the woman was undiagnosed with an ectopic pregnancy. And that's not even to mention the anxiety and depression. Look, at the end of the day, mifepristone is not a birth control device. It is a chemical designed to take human life, and there are serious life-threatening side effects that go with it. And Planned Parenthood needs to be honest about that. It is a deceptive business practice for them to encourage women in Missouri to come to their clinics and take these pills. But the worst part about it is the biggest lie that's happening is not only is Planned Parenthood targeting Missouri women with these deadly lies, but they're encouraging any women who take this powerful chemical to then conceal having taken it if they have to go to the emergency room. In other words, Planned Parenthood is saying, take this powerful, dangerous drug, kill your child, and then don't tell if you have to go to the emergency room and are sick from it. Well, that increases the danger and the health risk to the women patient, but it also hides the data to the rest of us. And so this is a very dangerous situation. We want restitution for any woman who they've tricked in the state of Missouri, and $1.8 million in damages and penalties to the state of Missouri, and an injunction to put a stop to their deadly laws.
Yeah, I don't think that number's high enough. Honestly, I think people listening are saying, okay, 1.8 million, given the size of Planned Parenthood, you'll have major Democratic donors writing that check on behalf of Planned Parenthood. So if they continue to operate the way they can, the big key here is to make sure they can operate in this way. And what I find too, in a lot of ways, is that when these expecting mothers are giving the truth, the reality, like, for example, ultrasound photos of what they are carrying, it changes their opinion on things, because then they're actually seeing things for the way they are. If you were to disclose this the proper way and discuss what your body is doing to that life inside of you, I think that will change a lot of minds. So that's why disclosure is so important.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we live in a dangerous society post-passage of Amendment 3. The drafters and purveyors of this death amendment chose ambiguous, vague language so they could trot out a parade of horribles after its passage. And that's what's happened. Look, it passed by a razor-thin majority in the state of Missouri back in November. And ever since then, Planned Parenthood has marched into court in Kansas City and convinced the judge to strip away every health and safety regulation that the state has to protect women from dangerous things like informed consent before an abortion, or, hey, doctors should have to sterilize instruments before performing these dangerous operations, or there should be fire escapes and fire extinguishers at these facilities. The Planned Parenthood has convinced a judge in Kansas City that those things are now unconstitutional because of Amendment 3. I pose it to you. Would the voters have enacted Amendment 3 if they had known all of this parade of horribles would have come true? Moreover, the nadir of depravity has been represented in court in Jackson County, with Planned Parenthood marching in and saying they're claiming they now have a constitutional right to traffic minors across state lines for dangerous abortions without parental consent. I have no reason to think that the voting population of the state of Missouri would have accepted that and would have voted for Amendment 3 if they had known that was going to be the outcome.
Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey joining us. One last thought about ICE agents and their masks. That's become a big debate and the legality of it when it comes to being a federal agent. They look at it as a safety or disclosure issue. They look at it as scary if an ICE agent is concealing his face in some ways. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I don't care if criminal aliens who have violated our national sovereignty and our laws are scared of ICE agents. I, in fact, want them to be scared of ICE agents and go home. That's what they should do. If they're scared of ICE, they should leave now and go back to where they came from.
I think a part of this too, and I think about some of the different protests that happened in St. Louis, and I think about those police officers that had gases sprayed on them. They had urine bombs thrown at them. They had projectiles. And you think about all these different things that they were confronted with when these mobs gang up on them. And I think, why wouldn't you, if you're an agent, want to protect yourself? You're wearing, bulletproof vest. You're wearing other pieces of equipment. But why wouldn't you want to protect your face too? And I think that should just be a part of it, that it should just be accepted, as opposed to some people using it as a way to weaponize a way to try to bring repercussion to a federal agent that is doing their job in enforcing immigration laws. So I find it highly reasonable that you would wear something on your face.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And look, several of these ICE agents have been targeted for homicides, for physical attacks, for first-degree assaults. Serious physical injury has been inflicted upon them. They've been doxxed. Their family and homes have been identified online. I mean, the left is in such an uproar because they don't want to have a United States of America. They want to eradicate any sense of national unity by eliminating any kind of national borders. And so eliminating the enforcement agency, ICE, is the way that they do that. And they're provoking and promoting attacks against ICE agents. It's altogether appropriate that they would want to and need to shield their faces for safety reasons as they protect us from this foreign invasion.
Yeah, and let alone their families. You think about what could happen if they're at their home and someone gets the wrong idea. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, thank you so much for joining us. You're fighting the good fight. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, sir. Appreciate you. Talk soon.
Joining us after the break is President of the St. Louis First Responders Canteen, Daniel Cunningham. We're going to talk to him about what's coming up here soon. A partner in 97.1 Talk in Action, Partner of July. We're going to discuss that after the break. I'm Ryan Ranker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, if you are just headed out, you're leaving the office, it's not a bad day as far as traffic goes, but we have little pockets of slow-moving traffic. For instance, westbound 6440 is really lined up. This is approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. There's some volume eastbound 170 through Big Bend, and then moderate volume at 270 and through Chesterfield Valley. 70 westbound, moderate volume right at Jennings Station Road, a little bit at 141, but there is a jam just past 79 out to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then things open up and look fine. Now, if you're southbound on 270, most of the volume there is south of Page and pockets down through Doherty Ferry, but there's a slow pocket at Gravois as well. At 55 southbound, slowing headed for Bates. If you're headed into Illinois, we look great on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
And electrical.
Jerry Kelly.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
When MLB talent takes the field, reactions get loud.
Oh my God! Full scheme. Struck him out with 102. Laser beam. Walk off, baby. This is the best.
Witness baseball greatness for yourself at the ballpark. Baseball is something else.
Yes!
Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is the president of the St. Louis First Responder Canteen. They're an organization that supports first responders across the St. Louis region. Daniel Cunningham, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We're also a partner this month for the 97.1 Talk in Action. Fantastic work. First responders, they need our support. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a very simple concept. We provide canteen support to first responders when they're out on an extended scenes. It's mostly the fire department when they're doing a house fire or a fire of some sort, but that consists of water, Gatorade, snacks, things like that they need to kind of rehydrate, replenish their bodies, and be able to continue working on and moving forward through their shifts.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things to respond to. You think, okay, they show up, they do the job, they go back, everything's fine. So tell us what kind of relief this brings to those while in duty and what that means to them.
Yeah, so they are, you can think about we use the term a house fire or a fire in general. The temperature inside that house is 600 degrees plus when they're in that turnout gear and they're wearing that full body gear and all that kind of stuff that they're doing to fight that fire. And then they come out and they're dehydrated. They're looking for refreshment. They're looking for that kind of thing. So that's a relief to them. It gives them a chance to kind of replenish and be able to continue on. Around here in the St. Louis area, they work for 48 hours straight. So, they might do a call and then come out and then they need to go on to the next. So they're not getting a chance to maybe go back and recover and stuff like that. So that gives us a chance to kind of help them do that and be able to get them back up to where they're at their tip-top shape to be able to fight that fire.
Well, they must really appreciate that. Plus, I think that probably makes them feel cared for, which is a nice thing. How did you think of this to begin with? Or did you have somebody who was a firefighter in the family? How did it start for you?
Yeah. So I've learned about this program. There's other major cities that have this kind of thing and stuff like that, and other smaller cities as well. So, but my dad was a volunteer firefighter as I grew up. So I always thought that I would become a volunteer firefighter. Ended up in St. Louis. Everything is career firefighting here.
Yeah, it is.
So, it was when I heard about it, I approached the fluorescent fire chief at the time and said, "Hey, why don't we have something like this in the area?" And he's like, "Great idea. We're going to help you start it." And so it was kind of a one-man show for about 2 months until we figured out the details. And then from there we've grown. So that was in 2018 when we first got started.
Well, Daniel, do you listen then? I'm a person who listens to scanners just for traffic. So is that how you find out where to go?
So we actually, early on, that's exactly kind of what we did.
I wondered.
As we grew what we did, we now are actually part of the fire department system. So we are actually dispatched just like any other fire truck is.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah. So we, anytime once it's declared a working fire or something like that, an emergency where they need us, then they dispatch us just like they do anybody else.
Wow, that is something. Yeah, you think about those firefighters when the alarm goes off. What's going through their mind? Okay, I got to get my equipment. I got to get out as fast as I can. There might be kids in that house.
Yep.
There might be someone in that house that needs to be saved. They're not thinking about, better go grab the Gatorade, run to the kitchen real quick.
Right.
Like I think about what it's like to have kids when you're trying to leave the house and they all want snacks. They all want drinks. It takes you an extra 20 minutes to get out the door. We can't have that for firefighters when they're trying to save lives. So you're offering what I think is a very important service because it helps, I'm sure, their response time. One less thing they have to worry about.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, a fire truck has a small cooler on it, but again, they're on 48 hours. Sometimes they haven't had a chance to restock that and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one less thing they have to worry about and think about, and to be able to be out there.
Now, how do you get? Do you take donations? What do you take out there? Do you take water? Do you take other things? How does that work?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit organization, so we're fully supported by donations, whether it be corporate donations or individuals as well. So yeah, we water, Gatorade, a few various snacks and things like that. On larger incidents, we actually provide full meals for them.
Gosh.
We've done, Chick-fil-A for breakfast sandwiches. We've done, pizzas. We've done sub sandwiches. We've done a barbecue food truck, Man Meats, out of Florissant, where they actually will pull up and just serve out of their food truck and stuff like that. We don't, we do that maybe 6 to 12 times a year. We don't need that very often, but even to that extent. So, but all of that's done out of our budget, and we know that's what we do, and that's what we're there for.
That's
you have
really
surveys.
cool.
Like, do they tell you what kind of things they like? They're like, all right, enough with the red. Like that red flavor, it's not I like the blue, I like the purple, but none of the red. Like, do they give you feedback?
They do. It's funny because some of the ones that we see a little more frequently, they can be walking up towards our table that we set up, and I can look at them and go, oh, I need to get a red ready because I know he wants a red, or he wants a blue, or he wants the Slim Jims, he wants the Nutter Butters, whatever kind of thing.
Now, Daniel, who staffs this? You guys are 100% volunteer, yes?
That is correct. We are 100% volunteer. So our team, we have about 30 volunteers.
Okay.
And we, like I said, we cover the entire St. Louis County area. That's kind of our primary response area. So we have volunteers across the county.
Okay.
And when the call comes out, whoever's available goes. That usually is 3 to 4 people on average. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but it's just kind of who's available at that given time, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or, anytime in between.
And do they each have food, or, if I was a volunteer, would I just then be assigned Chick-fil-A? I mean, how do I know what to bring?
So we have response vehicles that are staffed and are staged at one in Florissant, and then in Monarch, which is Chesterfield area.
Yeah.
And then Fenton and Melville.
Okay.
So we have 4 different locations where trucks are staged. They're always stocked. They're always ready to go. And so one person at minimum has to get a vehicle, and then some will meet on scene. Some will also meet at the vehicle and ride together. So that's how that's all done.
Wow. They've got to be really grateful for this service. What's the feedback that you've gotten from, I guess, the firefighters themselves?
Yeah, the firefighters and the police officers and all them that are there, for sure. It's just nothing but grateful. It's always a thank you. It's always, we appreciate you being here. They know that, we're there just to serve them. So, they love it.
That's
what
awesome.
happens, like, if there's a house fire and the family's outside watching all their possessions burn down? Do you help them too?
We do. We take a little bit of time to meet with them. We'll, we'll offer them something to drink. We'll offer them, we carry shoes and socks. You think about a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody runs out of the house because their house is on fire. They don't have, they're grabbing pretty much nothing. So we'll throw, we carry some shoes and socks and stuff that we'll give them as well if we need to. The American Red Cross kind of covers the taking care of them beyond that point. But yeah, we don't ignore them, obviously, in that situation. We make sure we kind of care for them as well in that given moment. So
how can people help if they wanted to make a donation or learn more?
Yeah, our website is just our initials, if you will, stlfrc.com. That is our website. On there, there's a way to donate to, support us through that. There's ways, if somebody's interested in volunteering, they can definitely sign up there as well for that. And then we do a couple fundraisers a year. We have a big one coming up in October. That's October 19th at Top Golf out in Chesterfield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's going to be a fun day. It includes lunch and all that kind of stuff. And there's information on the website for that as well. But that's, that's how we raise money, and that's how we do things. So we'd love any support.
I got to say, I've never heard this before. Is this something that they have in different cities, or is this unique to St. Louis?
No, he said they do have them in different cities.
Is that right?
Yeah. Not every city does. And some are volunteer, some aren't. And American Red Cross does it in some cities. So does Salvation Army and other things. But obviously here, we're the organization that takes care of that.
Daniel, do you need volunteers as well? Or is it mainly right now donations you need of money and equipment and stuff?
Yeah. We always can take the volunteering is not something like a typical, like a food bank would be, or something where they're just, you're coming in for one time. You're committing, obviously, to doing what we're doing and being available and stuff like that. So sometimes that's not ideal for some people. So that's, where the donations definitely help and support us in that way. But, we're always looking for both.
Wow. St. Louis First Responder Canteen. So STLFRC.com. FRC, First Responders Canteen, STLFRC.com.
Yep.
You have some photos, your mission on there. You're a nonprofit. I got to tell you, this is wonderful.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
It's things you don't think about. This is something that it's a little paying attention to the details of trying to help people that are out there saving lives. Often they go forgotten. That's just the job they do. They go out and they come back and it's over. They get a shower and they go home, hopefully to their families.
Absolutely.
But you think about what happens while they're in there. One, it's a stressful situation because you're trying to save lives. But two, you're right. They're exhausting themselves going into house fires. So it's only natural to think that they would probably need some of these things, but they don't always have it readily available. So this gives them a little something to maybe a second wind, make sure they don't get too exhausted, too dehydrated themselves, because the worst thing you want is you don't want them getting hurt while inside this fire either.
Right. Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's so hot right now. I have to think they have to be especially appreciative. I mean, it is just disgusting hot.
Yeah. We carry, during the summertime, we do cold towels dunked in ice water just so they can put them over their heads and do that kind of thing. And we carry misting fans and some other stuff like that specific for the summer when it's really this hot. So
that's
really do it.
Yep.
Daniel Cunningham, president of the St. Louis First Responder Canteen. So First Responder Canteen, FRC. So the website, STLFRC.com. You can make a donation and learn more about the organization right there. Daniel, thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate
that.
it. Yeah.
And thank you for the work you do. It's truly, truly good work, and it's worthwhile work. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I mean, it's just a true blessing to, I'm sure, so many different people in St. Louis.
Yep.
Joining us after the break is an actor, comedian, Rob Schneider. Looking forward to having a conversation with him on his new book called You Can Do It, Speak Your Mind, America. It's on Free Speech. 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, on the roads, we do have some volume out there today. If you're leaving downtown, westbound 44 is actually pretty slow in front of the Arch grounds. 70 westbound slowing at Jennings Station Road. Eastbound, we had an accident reported before you get to Salisbury. And out west, look for some volume on 70 between 79 and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 364 is pretty slow westbound on either side of 94. And 6440 jams approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com, or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 5:32. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Still leading 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
And I'm Ryan Recker filling in for Mark Reardon. Wow, what a big hour we have here, I got to say. Joining us now is an actor and comedian. I think pretty much everyone knows who he is. He also has a book that came out not that long ago called You Can Do It, Speak Your Mind, America. Rob Schneider, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rhino. Thanks for having me, brother.
I am very excited. I think that we're in a weird time in American history because we take for granted free speech. I think you can look at other countries. You can look at Canada. You can look at England as examples of, okay, we're kind of similar lifestyles in a way, like with Canada, they're our neighbors. But you can see what happens when you take free speech away. And you can see how they punish their people, how the government can target people. And wow, that's a precious thing America has. It is a really important thing to speak your mind, isn't it?
Well, no, it's absolutely. There's a reason why, George Washington and our founding fathers wanted it first and of our, the Bill of Rights, and our first amendment is free speech. And it's no coincidence that that is one of the cornerstones of, I think, why America continues to be the creative, technological, and, financial capital of the world, because it allows for debate, it allows for contentious debate, and it allows for creativity. And you don't get creativity, you don't get smooth from smooth, you get it from friction. And so, one thing has been under threat is debate and discourse. And it's the Democratic majority, which was more than happy to squelch debate recently, and, kind of hide behind the illusion of tolerance, and which is just redressed communism that you can label woke. What it really was a way to diversity, was a way to and DEI was a way to demand conformity and demand power and control. That's really what it was. So free speech is essential, because we need to have the best ideas, and the worst ideas, even if they're horrible, they need to be aired. And so that you can say, well, those are terrible ideas. The idea, who gets to decide what language, even if it's called hate speech or what? I mean, the idea of free speech is to protect the speech, if it means anything, is to say something that somebody else could find can be repulsed by or completely disagree with. And then, it isn't to say, like, when Stephen Colbert got his show canceled recently, free speech isn't free from consequence. But what free speech must be about in the United States of America is to not have reprisals from your government, and to be able to continue to seek redress. And that was something that, when the Biden administration has been proved, what they did was, and it wasn't Biden, obviously, because his brain didn't work anymore, but they were silencing Americans, and they were absolutely, not wanting any dissent. So that was the Biden administration was dipping its toes into totalitarianism, authoritarianism, and tyranny. And what I think of the Trump administration is not a revolution; it is a counter-revolution to the insanity that that we have been besieged with in this country. And that's why it was so important for people to step up and then to demand change, which was good. I mean, I still think that when I went to the airport this morning, I had to show my ID. When I went to FedEx, I had to show my identification to mail, a small package.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they don't want you to do that in many Democratic states to vote. And I think that's for the express purpose of cheating. And that has to stop. And people have seen through that now. And it's no coincidence that the Democrats have lost the Supreme Court, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and now the White House. And if they want to become part of a normal, party, which is what we need two normal political parties that function, then they're going to have to stop this authoritarian toe dip.
Yeah, you mentioned the Colbert thing. I think the lesson for that is if you're losing $40 million a year, it's probably a bad idea to tell your employer they're stupid with a lot of explicit words attached to it. It's probably a bad idea.
So.
Yeah.
Well, here's what Colbert did. Colbert, he was already. It's like if you think of a pizza, he's already throwing half the pizza in the garbage. So he's just literally starting with half a pizza. And that half a pizza is all Greg Gutfeld. He gets it all to himself. And then the pizza the half a pizza left over, he's got to share with two other guys. So it's a third, and third for half a pizza. So he's dealing with one slice of the whole pie. And that's just not enough money. He's got 200 employees and losing money. And then he craps on his employees and his employer. That's just a bad strategy to continue to try to make $20 million a year.
And I remember in talking about some of the late night people, one of my favorite was Conan. And I remember when Conan was paying out of pocket his staff. And I thought, okay, Colbert, there's 200 people, you're losing money, but there's a lot of people working on it that are going to be out of a job soon because you just thought it was a good idea to crap on your employer. There's a lot of consequences to that.
It is. There is. And I hope that that's a spanking that other people will notice, look, I'm sure he's going to be able to squeak by with the $100 million that he has left.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling sorry for him.
Well, let's talk about the Shroud of Turin. There's a conference coming to St. Louis. You're going to be a part of it. What's your fascination with the Shroud of Turin?
Well, first of all, it's a reawakening of faith for me and for so many others, because what you really have is the pieces of cloth, the Egyptian cloth that it was Jonathan of was it Aramea who had this and asked for this for the body to be wrapped in this Egyptian cloth. That's the only reason it survived. It's the only cloth that could have survived was linen. And you have this that it was tested, and it was tested in the lower left-hand corner with three different carbon labs that did the carbon dating. And the further that they went into the shroud material, the further back in time it went. The earliest was, I believe, 1170, but it was from or 1190. I think from 1370 to 1190. But what happened was they never put into question what Joe Marino and Susan Benford discovered, was that the French nuns carefully repaired this over years with this invisible, what they called an invisible thread, invisible weave. And that was what they, so that's what threw the carbon dating off. And so now with the radiation testing, or they were able to test that it really is a 2,000-year-old cloth. So what you have in this piece of cloth, which has blood in it, it has the exact wounds from that Jesus Christ suffered on the cross. And you see they've been able to test blood. They've been also to get pollen off of this that only comes from that part of Jerusalem. So it's an incredible thing. What really it is the best description I've ever heard of it was that the Shroud of Turin is the receipt of what Jesus Christ paid for all of us. And it is the greatest gift ever in the world.
Can I tell you my problem with it? And I think about it because I'm a Christian, and I think, okay, if I were to try to tie my faith into an object, I would think, okay, it would be awesome if it was real, and it would be fantastic to have an artifact like that exist. But I also worry, what if one day it does come back into question? I don't want my faith to be in question because I tied so much into this object.
Well, first of all, we have to go by the definition of faith. A cloth or a piece of paper or whatever it has, whether it's even if it's a piece of the cross, these are just artifacts. They're not they don't express the or begin to tell the story of faith, which is faith is a willingness to not know but to proceed anyway. But it shouldn't impact us, and we shouldn't worship a piece of cloth or any item. But what it does is there's an image on there, which I believe, if you look at the human being when the fertilization begins, there's a flash of light, and whether they can relate that to some sort of zinc oxide explosion, the chemical thing. I believe that when Jesus Christ came back to life, that's what sent that reverse negative onto this piece of cloth. Now,
That's amazing.
As far as the and it could only be done in that when it was wrapped in something and it was a negative. If it was something that medieval forgery, why would this guy do something that was an inversion of a negative when photography wouldn't be invented for another 500 years? So but I think it's an important thing that we don't get lost in artifacts and worship this and have our faith in anything other than the living, breathing Savior, Jesus Christ. And that is really, really an important thing, Ryan, to bring up, because it isn't a cloth that provides salvation. I mean, the most beautiful thing my priest, Father Passo, told me, he said, even the cold air that the baby Jesus suffered on the night of his birth is enough suffering for our own salvation. And it's just a beautiful gift and the payment that was made. But what I think it can do is I think it can provide something as we've all experienced in this dark age that we are encountering now, and a rise of evil, which I think we can plainly see it, whether since the pandemic and the flirtation with global tyranny that we were dealing with. I think there is a rise in evil in the world. And I think at that same time, it's no coincidence that I think there's also a rise in faith. And I think there's a number of young people coming to the faith now is very encouraging. And I don't think that's by accident. I think this is an intended time. And I think there will be tough times ahead. And I think if you, I would say that what my father, Chad Ripperger, said, which I take great solace in, Jesus already won. This is just a mop-up mission.
Yeah,
but
you're going to be.
We're going to have some tribulations. There'll be some times to come, which will be very difficult for a lot of people.
So you'll be part of the conference here in St. Louis, Shroud2025conference.com. It's July 31st through August 2nd. I don't know how much time you have if you have another interview to do. I had one other question that I was hoping to ask you, but if you have to go, I understand too.
What's that?
It was a old Norm Macdonald story that I've heard, and I was hoping you can tell me if it's true or not.
All right, tell me.
All right, I heard Norm Macdonald tell a story back in SNL that George Harrison visited once, was playing some guitar, and Al Franken came out and said, "Cut that music out. We're trying to work here." And Norm Macdonald said, "Are you kidding me? We had like a private concert from George Harrison, and Al Franken, being a joker, cut it out." Is there any truth to that story?
That is a true story, but Norm wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't. He just told the story, but he wasn't there.
This was back. He told the story. He wasn't there, but there was a story that Al Franken did do that. He just as a joke to him, but George Harrison didn't think of it as a joke. George Harrison was just horrified by that and like uncomfortable. And that kind of sums up Al Franken's what he thinks is funny, as opposed to other people are horrified by it. And Al is funny, but he also is capable of frightening people like he did in that moment to a very tender soul who's no longer with us. But that's a true story. But no, Norm wasn't there. That happened in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right. Wow. I've heard the story. I got to tell you, I've heard the story. I've never seen it published anywhere. So I've always was curious if it was true or not. So I'm so glad I can learn that.
Story. And that's from Jim Downey. He's the head writer of SNL and the real genius of SNL, the creative comedy writer, Jim Downey. He's unbelievable. And that's a true story. That's one of my stories that I have in the back of my head too, that it's like, wow, incredible place. But that's the thing about Saturday Night Live. We had some of the most amazing people would be able to come through there, and it would be a real, one day, I'm running around changing into the next sketch, changing my clothes. And then all of a sudden you see Neil Young, he's playing Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
Neil Young and I are going to say, you know what, I'm going to stop and I'm going to hear this. And I don't care if I'm late for the next sketch. This is a moment I want to just take in right now. So that's
before cell
beautiful
phones.
thing.
Yeah, that's the things you can enjoy, before you thought, oh, I better record this real quick. No, you get to live in the moment. So enjoy
Stay in
St.
the
Louis. We'll be so happy to have you here. Rob Schneider, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Take care now.
And anyone listening, if you want to learn more about that conference and maybe some of the different speakers, including Rob Schneider, Shroud2025conference.com. There's panels that you're going to learn a lot. It's a very fascinating idea, and it's so cool that it's here in St. Louis, happening July 31st to August 2nd. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
The accident that had been causing that delay westbound 70 before Lake St. Louis Boulevard has been moved from the left lane off to the right shoulder. And as a result, hopefully this jam behind it will start thinning out. Right now, it's still just a little bit west of 79. Now, 6440 is still a slow go. Hampton out through McCausland. Southbound 170 slowing at 64. Moderate volume westbound 40 through Chesterfield Valley. And 55 just a little slow at Bates in the construction zone. If you are headed into Illinois, we look great on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox doesn't fake it. He's lived it here in St. Louis. Pro-freedom, pro-family, pro-truth. If it matters to Missouri, it matters to Mark. Mark Cox, mornings on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com. Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com. Viking.com.
Fast-paced, fact-based, and never boring. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
What an hour. Andrew Bailey, Missouri's Attorney General. We had Daniel Cunningham, and then, of course, comedian Rob Schneider. Sue, isn't Rob something else? He is so good.
I was impressed.
He's great. What do you know Rob Schneider from? The first thing that comes to mind.
Well, it's just the title of his book and how I would say it in my head, how he would say it on the show. You can do it. Yeah.
I think my first one. I literally just watched Grown Ups the other day, so that's the one that's the one that's fresh in mind. But he's just in.
I love Grown Ups.
So many great movies. Well, I got it when I saw that this morning on the sheet. I was like, I called Fred. I was like, you mean the Rob Schneider? He was like, yeah. I was like, man, that's why he's the Hall of Famer.
Yep. My
I
wife.
find fascinating.
Oh, go ahead.
You know what I find fascinating about Rob Schneider is that, and he didn't bring this up in his interview with you, but the panel that he's going to be on when he's in town next week for the Shroud Conference is called Skeptics and Agnostics.
Oh, interesting.
Whose faith was impacted by the Shroud. And he didn't also didn't bring this up, but he's working on a film right now about the Shroud of Turin. And it's based upon a book written by one of the Shroud experts, Joe Marino. And Rob hopes to play Joe in that movie once he's done writing it.
Oh, so it's not a documentary. It's a movie.
It sounds like it's a movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's really fascinating. I messaged my wife. I said, just interviewed Rob Schneider. She said, from Surf Ninjas? That's how she knows Rob Schneider.
Surf Ninjas. What's that?
You know what? I guess technically he was in Home Alone 2. I wonder if he met Donald Trump filming Home Alone 2. I should ask that. There's so many different things you can ask Rob Schneider, but freedom of speech and the turn that he has taken the last couple of years have been fantastic. As a comedian, I think he's been on the forefront of advocating for freedom of speech, which is just so important. And I think comedy should be right there on the front. And he was right to he was right to say it's going in the wrong direction. So I really admire that. You know what? Before we go, we got to do the audio cut of the day.
Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, I was thinking about maybe playing the opposite of Rob Schneider for the audio cut of the day. Jeff Daniels was talking about this last election and how it didn't go the way he thought it would. Can we play clip number 23?
I still think about Kamala and how I think she would have been a good choice. I don't care what they say, because she would have done what Lincoln did. Liz Cheney would have been Secretary of State.
Team of Rivals.
Yeah, Team of Rivals. Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote the book about it. That's what Lincoln did. Surrounded himself with the people who would disagree with him. It's the madness of King George. And just the deterioration of the Republican Party.
Let me say this. Did Liz Cheney really disagree with much when it came to Kamala Harris? I mean, in some of her politics, I don't know. But is it weird to still be thinking about Kamala Harris? I think it is kind of a little bit weird. I don't know. Well, maybe not. But the thing is, it's not like she's in the news. It's not like she's generating any type of things for us to talk about or reasons for us to think about her. She rarely makes appearances. She's just kind of sitting back on the major loss. Well, Sue, Fred, Ethan, I got to say, it's always so easy to do these shows, and I always have such a fun time doing it. Thank you guys for everything, for making it so easy for me here in Detroit.
Oh, we love having you.
And good luck with the heat wave. I know once it starts kicking in, hopefully your air conditioning can keep up with it. I really do.
Oh, it's already kicked in. He just extended it.
Well, I'm saying it could keep up with it. That's the hard part once it gets to these triple digit stuff. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Have a great night on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we actually are thinning out nicely. So if you are leaving downtown, 64, just moderate volume in Hampton. 70 looks pretty good. It's thinning out west. We had that earlier accident before Lake St. Louis Boulevard causing delays. At 64, just a little slow at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month.